Warm greetings from the High 10. It's Everyday Shenanigans. Thank you for joining me. Hello, Miss Fanny. This commentary is pertaining to the murder of Debbie Collier. I will bring you content pertaining to her murder until we get a resolution to what happened to her on that fateful day. Do not know the time of day. Do not know the hour. Do not know the manner of death. All this is being examined by officials and forensics staff to bring the information. But what I'm going to do is chop up what's been revealed as of late, which is surveillance of the van in traffic, the direction it was going in, who was driving the van. Many of you have probably not thought of that. Do we know if Debbie Collier was even the person driving her own van southbound? The plot thickens. Perhaps the person driving the van was not Debbie Collier. Perhaps the person that pulled into the Family Dollar was not Debbie Collier. Could it be that Debbie Collier was a passenger in her own van? Bingo card. The different versions from the daughter to the aunt pertaining to the car accident back in April. She fudged some information about the driver. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the version she gave the stepdad about the purse. Why would she lie about the purse, the ID, the driver's license, when the mother had a handbag on her on video, unless she assumed the mother took a certain purse and the mother changed handbags. Could that be the reason why she gave a different version to the stepfather? Those are the things we're going to discuss. Who was driving the van? Was this a setup by the daughter? Are we talking about more participants? The timestamp of 317. We now have information that her phone went dead at that time or was turned off. Either one. Where is that information coming from? How is it that that information is being repeated? I'm going to bring you a source to that information. So we're going to talk about the timestamp of 3:17 p.m. on that Saturday. Okay? What happened to the phone? Was there another person in the van when it was headed down the interstate southbound or northbound rather, whichsoever, because I don't really know. Who was in the van? Was somebody else in the van when it went to the dollar store? Did this woman, did her own child set her up? And the mysterious Venmo account. We're going to chop that up as well. Thank you for joining me. Please hit the link if you'd like to give your opinion pertaining to the information that is being relayed in this live stream. Hello, everybody in the chat. Debbie, Cherie, thank you all so much for joining me. I will be bringing you 3 sources of information. Most of it you've probably heard already, but we're going to dissect it, chop it up, because there are people who are new to the story and have not followed the content pertaining to the murder of Debbie Collier. Thank you for joining me. Fox 5 is the source. This was uploaded today, 12:22 p.m.
Investigators have an update in a Georgia mother's disturbing death. She was found partially clothed and burned in a heavily wooded area more than 50 miles from her home. Fox 5's Kevin Stewart has more on this disturbing case.
Yeah, this morning was the first time that reporters got to talk to investigators first face-to-face and ask them more specific questions. And I can tell you that they are trying to scour the entire region, looking for pictures and video, trying to connect the dots and trace Debbie Collier's movements. And to that end, I want to show you this video. It's actually a snapshot that was just released this morning, the day before she was found dead. This is her car driving northbound on Georgia 15 around 2:15 on September 10th. That would be in the direction of the Clayton Family Dollar. That's where she was last seen alive. This afternoon, investigators say they will release a new video which shows her leaving the Family Dollar and sitting inside her car for about 10 minutes until about 3.
Well, I guess that cut off kind of short there. Sorry about that. I don't know why that cut off. I hate playing these videos from articles because they tend to not work.
20.
Sorry.
Keep in mind, it was about that time Collier's daughter said she received money from Collier through Venmo and a note saying, quote, "They are not going to let me go. Oh, love you."
It was at 3:19. Because we see her in that vehicle leaving the parking lot, heading southbound on Georgia 15.
There is no information or evidence to this point that shows that this was something random, that there was something that was out, that was not from somebody that she either knew or somebody who she had some association with.
Now, we may be weeks out from getting an autopsy and finding out how she was killed, but investigators insist this was not a suicide. They believe this is a homicide. They said they're not backing off of that. We'll get into that coming up at 4 o'clock. But for now, we're live in Clarksville. Kevin Stewart, Fox 5 News.
All right, everybody. Fox 5. New image surfaces of Debbie Collier's van before death. A chilling new image has emerged in the investigation into the personal and targeted death of Debbie Collier, showing the Georgia mom's rented minivan traveling toward a store where she was later captured on video. And excuse me for saying southbound. The video shows her going northbound. Pardon my misspeaking. The Chrysler Pacifica was seen on traffic cameras by the Tallulah Falls School in Georgia at 2:17 p.m. on September 10th, a day before the woman's partially naked and burned body was found in a nearby ravine. Crime Online reported, citing Habersham County Sheriff's investigator George Kaysen. Surveillance video from a Family Dollar store in Clayton showed Collier, 59, looking calm while shopping there for a blue tarp, a lighter, a tote bag, and a rain poncho on September 10th. Kaysen said Tallulah Falls police investigators have been trying to determine if the traffic cameras captured Collier traveling back south, according to the news outlet. So in this article, you will see a picture of the decedent. Above that picture will be a photograph of the rented van. And this is believed to be her van traveling northbound, and it also has an identifying tag number on the back of the vehicle. Below her picture is remnants from a burned shirt found in the area where the body was discarded, if you need verification for the information. Below that picture of the burned pieces of the burned shirt, you will see Miss Collier standing at a register checking out her items. And in this commentary, it will identify a blue tarp, a lighter, a tote bag, and a rain poncho, September 10th. Collier entered the Family Dollar outlet at 2:54 p.m., left at 3:09, and sat in the vehicle for 10 minutes until 3:19 before pulling out of the parking lot and heading south, Crime Line reports. The next photograph you'll see in that said article is of she, her husband, and a dog. Her body was found partially burned around 60 miles from her home in Athens the day after she sent a cryptic message to her daughter saying, "They're not going to let me go. Love you." The Habersham County Sheriff's Office said it has ruled out kidnapping and suicide as causes of her death. It also said investigators recovered Collier's purse and cell phone at the crime scene, which appeared to contradict earlier reports that she left her home with just her driver's license and debit card. Below that said information of she, her husband, and dog, there's a picture of a white female in a baseball cap, gray shirt, black leggings, and black slides. Heavier set Caucasian female, which is to believe to be her daughter, Amanda. She is the one that filed the missing persons report, claiming that her mother did not take anything with her but her driver's license and her credit card. We're going to chop up why that person would say the mother took those only items. I think it's obvious why. You're entitled to your interpretation of the said information. Carter's husband, Stephen, had reportedly told a 911 dispatcher that his stepdaughter, Amanda Bearden, found his wife's purse at their home. Last week, Kaysen said investigators were still awaiting data from several service providers regarding Debbie's recovered cell phone. Last week, Kaysen said investigators were still... Hold on one second. I think I'm getting off a bit. Okay, excuse me. He also said police have confirmed Stephen was seen on video working from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. the day his wife vanished, Fox News reported. Bearden and her live-in boyfriend, Andrew Gigerich, who both have a history of domestic violence allegations, told the Post they had been interrogated by detectives and had their phones seized. Gigerich told Fox News Digital last week that he and Bearden were not involved in Debbie's murder and claimed that they have been living in fear of being targeted themselves. We sleep with stuff in front of our front door and our back door because we didn't have anything to do with this, he told the outlet. We're a little scared ourselves. The sheriff has yet to name any suspects, leads in the case, and has so far made no arrests. New York Post is the source for this information. Let's chop up what was said in this article. Newly released video showing the mother traveling northbound on an interstate through Tallulah Falls, IDing a tag to verify this was her vehicle. She goes to a store that is also on video. She's seen inside of the store buying said items: tarp, tote, lighter, poncho. Seen leaving the store. Also verified sitting in her car for about 10 minutes and then leaving that said parking lot. Information coming from the daughter that the mother left the house with little of nothing. ID and a debit card. Why did the daughter tell authorities that? Or told the father, stepfather? You see, the reason why people will suspect the daughter is the obvious reasons. The Venmo. The Venmo account. And you can chop it up in many ways. If you just sit and think about the information. One, you've made up a lie about a purse. Now, is it that you saw your mother with another purse the day before and assumed she was going to carry that same purse, but the mother switched purses? Then that makes no sense because you said you saw her only walk out with an ID. So that means you're verifying that you saw your mother leave out. So where exactly did you see the mother leave out with just the ID and the debit card? That's number one. In the house, outside of the house, inside of her car, at your place, your new place. Where were you when she walked out with the ID and card? Two, where did Debbie tell you she was going that day? Interesting. See, it's interesting when you hear the he said and the she said, you don't hear a, well, mom said she was going here, she would be right back. Because that's what I think of when a person just takes their ID and their debit card. They're just running, make a quick run to like the gas station. If you all understand what I'm saying. I don't need to stay long. I don't need to take much because I ain't going to be out long. I'm just going to get some gas. Just going to go up here and get me a bag of ice or soda pop, chips. I don't need my purse. That's the only time I can think of a woman walking out with those things in hand. And we always know that it's dangerous to walk out with things in your hand. Many of you women do this. You're always carrying your keys in your hand, your phone in your hand. That's why you leave those things behind. Put those things in your pocket. Put those things in your crossover bag, your purse, as not to leave those things. So that's why it's suspect saying, oh, she just went out with ID card. Well, she's going to have to carry the keys too. And as I said, it's not a good idea to carry those type of items in your hand because naturally when you're buying things, you got to sit something down in order to place the things you're purchasing down. Stay woke now. Focus on the different versions from the daughter. I'm also going to bring you more content pertaining to he said, she said about the person who she had the accident with. We have another version from the daughter saying the man was on parole, but we now have information that that's a lie. He has some petty misdemeanors, but he's not in the database in the state of Georgia as a parolee. So now you're going to chop up that. Why are you making up stuff about that? Are we dealing with a young lady that's a fibber? I use that word to be nice. So I really don't have to be. Are we talking about a pathological liar, been a liar, don't know how to tell the truth, and also lying because she has something to hide, such as the murder of her mother? Venmo account. We're going to talk about that because that's the icing on the cake of this story. It's what has everybody talking. Could it be there's more to this Venmo account? I'm going to take you in a place that's dark and ugly, as I do so many times when I talk about true crime. Are we talking about somebody that set their own mother up, involved other people? Because you have to think wisely now of where the car was discarded. And if indeed the person is close to the victim, then he or she or they had to make their way out of that locale. And you're only going to do it by foot and by car. So that means you need an alternate source to get out of there. That leaves you were followed there by a co-conspirator, or you called somebody to pick you up, such as a cab, a Uber, or unwilling participant that didn't know what the hell you were doing out there in the middle of nowhere. What's the truth? Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, Everyday Shenanigans, $sign Big Angie, 129 Cash App. All stickers and chats are welcome during the live. Feel free to hit the link to give your opinion pertaining to the said information. The first source was by New York Post. Let's go and see what the Sun has to say on the latest developments pertaining to Debbie Collier. Targeted Debbie Collier. Live updates. Mystery deepens as cops reveal chilling clue. Suspect yet to be named in the brutal murder. This was also uploaded today. Officials revealed a traffic camera photo of Collier's vehicle as it was driving just a few miles north of where her body was found. Less than a day after she was last seen in a Family Dollar shop, September 11th, 59-year-old was unexplainably discovered dead in a ravine in rural Georgia. The Habersham County Sheriff's Office said on Friday they believe Collier's death is to be targeted and not the work of a serial killer. Officials said they discovered Collier's purse and cell phone at the crime scene. I brought you the same information just a little while ago with the New York Post. So basically, I'm just repeating the same information with a little bit of something different in each article. The items purchased: a tarp, poncho, lighter, tote bag, paper towels. Please remember all those items because they're going to be relevant to the theory I'm going to spin once again in this live. Thank you all so very much. It was also determined that a Venmo payment she sent to her daughter, Amanda Bearden, went through before she left the parking lot. So that means officials had to have had verification of the Venmo and the time. That could only mean that they have looked at the phone of the dead woman and saw a Venmo account go out, received by the daughter, or two, they looked at the daughter's phone, iPad, computer, whichsoever, and saw account belonging to Debbie Collier and Amanda being the receiver of that said fund. Stay woke. Venmo sent to the daughter, and it went through before the victim left the parking lot. And we know that she left at 3:19 p.m. That's what's been told to us. Let's take a look into who she is. Real estate office manager, 59, went missing first week of September. She tended to avoid the public eye, thus nothing is known about her personal life outside of her sudden death. She did share photos of herself, friends, Facebook. Habersham County K-9 discovered her approximately a quarter mile off the road down an embankment. According to the incident report, she was discovered on her back, grasping at a small tree with one hand. Investigators also discovered some of the items bought at the nearby Family Dollar. These comprised the red tote bag tarp, both of which had flame marks. So that means someone intentionally set these afire. The tote bag and the tarp. Were they bought deliberately? Let's go on and say that before I get into that commentary. To set ablaze the victim. That's why I always tell you to stay woke. Know that there's a reason for the season. That everything has a reason, whether it be petty, minute, irrelevant, insignificant. Maybe not. And the more I sit and listen, it's all coming together to the point. Those items were bought intentionally to set the woman on fire. Stay woke. Although they have not officially disclosed the reason of her death, investigators soon determined that it was homicide. They claim to have ruled out possible kidnapping last week. Nobody has been identified as a suspect or person of interest. If you have any information pertaining to this crime, please contact Cale Garrison and George Caston of the Habersham County Sheriff's Office, 706-839-0559 and 706-839-0560 respectively. Nancy Gray says the serial killer theory is cockamamie. She said that she believes it was absolutely personal and deliberate, and that she was shocked to hear that people were thinking, theorizing, this serial killer committing the brutal act. I don't know where that cockamamie idea came from, the journalist said. This is targeted to Deborah Collier. In the first place, cops are going to look at those closest to her. As I brought you content, this is what the officials are saying, that this is deliberate and personal. And this was revealed in a press conference on Friday by the Habersham County Police. This was not a random act of violence, Deputy Mary Kogot confirmed. We do not believe that this was the act of a serial killer, deliberate and personal, trying to obtain as much information as possible, put together the facts and evidence, to put together a motive and identify a person of interest. The lead investigator is Mr. George Caston. Ex-con from Sister's 911 call identified. A 911 caller identified as Diane Shirley, Debbie Collier's sister, mentioned a previous encounter with an ex-con. Athens Clarke County Police records show that in a similar incident involving Collier on April 30th, police cited Miguel Martinez, 48, for allegedly driving without a license and operating a vehicle without securing the load, Fox News reports. The incident says a metal item fell off the roof of a 2009 GMC Savannah van and slammed into the driver's side front end of Collier's 2020 Ford Ranger. No one was injured in the accident. Once again, Miss Debbie's death is ruled a homicide by officials, but not releasing a lot of details, shrouding the case in mystery. While Collier's message to her daughter was concerning, investigators publicly ruled out kidnapping and suicide. Cops have yet to name a suspect once again. And as I've told you, the Chrysler Pacifica has now been seen on a camera going through Tallulah Falls in Georgia, 2:17 p.m., September 10th. Just a few miles north, her naked body found partially burned in a ravine. And that was found after September 10th. Authorities are trying to put together a timeline of her movements between Saturday morning to the discovery of her body on September 11th, which was after 12 p.m. Let's talk about the 911 call. The aunt, Diane Shirley, says, from my niece, she said that Collier was in an accident about a month ago. Shirley added that Collier was driving behind a truck when a paint can fell from the vehicle, striking her car. She said, the paint went everywhere, and the driver was trying to convince my sister not to tell the cops that he was driving because he was out on parole. There was a stipulation to his parole that he could not drive. police confirmed to Fox News that Collier had been in a crash on April 30th, but it's not known if that was the accident in question. As you've got information from the press conference, it has been said this is a very complex case in nature. There's a lot of questions and unknowns that aren't found in a typical death investigation, Deputy Murray says from the Habersham County Sheriff's Office. It's going to take significantly more time than the 19 days that have passed since the discovery to solve this crime. Once again, the husband has been verified working between the hours of 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., Fox News reports. Surveillance has Miss Collier in the Family Dollar store in Clayton, Georgia. Once again, tarp, poncho, lighter, tote bag, paper towels were purchased. She rented a Chrysler Pacifica, and that is the vehicle she used to travel on this fateful day or timeline, because we really don't know the day she died. She sat in that car for 10 minutes. What was she doing in that car? As of September 21st, law enforcement has been gathering information to identify persons of interest. They did not specify who the investigators had spoken to. Let's talk about the daughter. On the 10th of September, Amanda tried calling her mother after getting that chilling message. Bearden's daughter called Athens Clarke County Police after Collier, 59, failed to return any of her calls. Investigators discovered that the Athens native left the house and she and her husband shared on September 10th in a rented SUV. She rented an SUV. So she went missing on the 10th of September, and she was last seen allegedly in that rented SUV. She rented that car because her car was in the shop. And it also now gives us information that she leased the car. Hadn't heard that before. Interesting. Okay. Amanda Bearden arrived after the cops discovered the vehicle. She was given a general idea of the last ping location by the Athens police. According to the Habersham County Sheriff's Office, Bearden began yelling that's the car was her mother's. Investigators were informed by Bearden that her mother had no history, mental illness, or suicide thoughts. She also told the officials her mother had a bad back and couldn't have walked far. Investigators find the rental car in a chute off the road. Tallulah Falls were asked and assisting to find the vehicle by the Habersham County Sergeant. The sergeant located Debbie Collier's rented car close to the Sirius XM facility off an old logging road. Habersham deputy informed about the known car that it may have been parked there the night before by Tallulah Falls police, who has responded to the scene. According to an incident report, Habersham County Sheriff's, September 10th at around 5 p.m., Tallulah Falls police noticed this vehicle, Chrysler Pacifica, on the side of Georgia Highway 15. Policemen claimed the drive into the location was standard. Debbie's family could not give information to the Athens police about the car at that time or the registration. And it's possible that the officers were unaware that the vehicle was the focus of a missing persons inquiry. The dark past of Amanda Bearden. Conclusion. Police investigated Bearden's home a few days after Collier's body was discovered, but it is unknown if she is a person of interest because authorities chose not to make copies of the search warrants because the investigation is still continuing. Fox 5 Atlanta has reported. Little is known about Bearden's private life outside the death of her mother and her lengthy criminal record. Well, that's enough. We've already heard domestic violence situations, but anywho. Fox News does point out that the prosecution abandoned their case against her. Additionally, Gingrich has a criminal history that stretches back to 2020 when he entered a guilty plea to 3 counts of domestic assault and disorderly conduct. He was given a probationary period at the time, but a year later he was in prison for 10 days on fresh domestic-related charges involving Bearden. Following a DUI arrest, he also entered a guilty plea to reckless driving in January. Basically, this article is just repeating the same things that I've already brought to you. As most of you know, an autopsy is pending. It may take up to 6 weeks before we get any information, but officials have ruled Miss Collier's death a homicide. Body located 60 miles from her home. So far, the cops are narrowing down the window between 3:09 p.m. on September 10th to 12:44 p.m. on September 11th, which was a Sunday, when her body was found. Her body was found near a highway in Clarksville, or as I said, 60 miles away from where she lived, naked. Her stomach was charred and she was grasping a small tree down a ravine. Just recapping the basic information. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to join this conversation, please feel free to hit the link. It's in the top of the video. I will put it in the chat again for anybody that'd like to give his or her opinion pertaining to the murder of Debbie Collier. I will now give you my assertion of the information that has been revealed. I think I have one more article of information. This is about the truck, and this is from Fox News, and then I will give you, thank you, honey. Thank you so much. I don't want to keep reading over the same thing. I just want to bring anything that's different to the story. The ex-con issue is allegedly not true, and that's all coming from the niece. I want to repeat that in this one. One potential lead. Early 911 calls by Fox News Digital has appeared to be exaggeration. Okay. The caller is Debbie Collier's sister, Diane Shirley. She made an alarming mention of a prior encounter with an unidentified ex-con driving a truck involved in a car crash. Now, why this woman would mention this, I don't know. A story that Shirley said she overheard from Collier's daughter, Amanda Bearden, whose home police searched early on in this investigation. From my niece, she said, Collier was in an accident about a month ago, Shirley told a dispatcher. Collier was driving behind a truck when a paint can fell off and struck her car. What I'm trying to understand is, why is this even mentioned? Because I want to make sure I repeat everything carefully, because this doesn't make any sense to me. Let's see. Yes, it says, one caller identifying herself as Collier's sister, Diane Shirley, made an alarming mention of a prior encounter with the unidentified ex-con. So why would you mention that in this investigation? Is what I'd like to know. And then we find out that she's repeating information she got from the daughter. So could the daughter have made an attempt at implicating somebody in this crime, because indeed she is the perpetrator of the murder of her own mother? I tell you all to listen to everything that's been told to you, because when you start having a lot of chitter chatter from anybody close to a victim, you'd have to ask yourself why. You're just making up stuff that has no validity, no proof. And some of it's got a little truth to it, some of it don't, because perhaps you have something to hide. I can't let people think it's me, so let me throw Pookie, Ray Ray, Bubba, Hernando into the fold. I don't want anybody looking at me. Is that what's going on? Is that what you're doing, Amanda? You're trying to take the heat off yourself? Well, I'm going to tell you this personally. If indeed you killed your mother, they're going to find out that you did it, because as I've told the chat many times, there's 50 ways to kill a human and 100 ways to get caught. So the odds are greater in the area of you forgot something. Did you forget something, sweetheart? Because if you are an addict, as reported, you definitely forgot something, because 9 times out of 10, you were under the influence when you plotted this grisly crime of your own mom. And some may say I'm being a little bit too forward by assuming she did this, but I'm going with the money. I'm going wherever the money goes, and I'm going wherever the he said and the she said goes. Well, people run your name. They can easily find out if you have a criminal record. That's not hard to find out. Allegedly, that's what the man told the mother. Hey, don't call the police because of this, this, and this. I'm on probation, parole, whatever he said. We don't even know what's the truth because, one, the dead woman's not here to tell us what she said. Let me go here. I'm going to chop up everything. Did Amanda Bearden set up the murder of her mother? Let's start with number one. You received a Venmo account. It has been verified at 3:17 p.m. That money went through to you before the mother left the parking lot, North Georgia. $3:17 timestamp. They say the phone went off. Who has verification that the woman's phone was off or dead? Where are we getting this information from? Authorities or the daughter? You gave version that the purse was left behind. She only took her ID and a debit card. Why did you tell officials that, Miss Amanda? Why did you tell your stepfather that? Why did you tell your auntie that the driver was paroled that was in the car accident with your mother? They still haven't even verified if it's the same incident or not. Because everything's coming out of your mouth and not the dead woman's. Because long as Debbie can't talk, we don't know what Debbie told you. We don't know what Debbie told her husband. And obviously she didn't tell her sister. Don't you find that strange? Women like to talk. Women like to gab. But you're the only one spinning versions pertaining to purses, ID, who hit the mama's car, the clown running in the middle of the street. You see where I'm going with this, everybody? You're the only walkie-talkie out of this whole storyline. Not your brother, not the stepfather, nobody. You're the only one talking. Why is that? The mother sends money to your account allegedly, but police have not verified that she is the one that sent the money to Amanda. So could it be possibly, just bear with me now, that Amanda was in the car with the mother all alone? Scenario number one. She is the driver of the van. The mother is the one getting out of the car, or perhaps she could have also been the passenger in the van. She told her mother what to buy on that fateful day. The tarp, the poncho, the tote bag, the lighter. Did it ever occur to any of you listening that those items were flammable? Bingo card. Raining outside, yes it was. Ooh, damn, Queen. How did you forget that? This is the reason why she couldn't get set on fire. It was raining outside. Bingo card. I'll be damned. Lord, have mercy. Somebody get me a drink. Forgot all about that. See, when you go back in the videos of the day they retrieved the car and the victim, it was raining outside. Kind of hard to set a fire when it's raining outside. Wow, how did we miss that? See, this is why you have to think about a crime from start to finish as to make it make sense, because it's not supposed to make sense, because 9 times out of 10, it's petty, the murder of another human. But what you do is you chop up the scene. Was it sunny? Was it raining? Was it muddy? What did the person have on? How did the person appear? Thank God for surveillance cameras. So we see why you asked for all those items, but one thing you forgot, you can't set a fire in the rain. That's the reason why she probably wasn't fully burned, even with setting the tarp on fire, it's going to be a miss because of the rain. You knew what you were doing. You knew what you were doing when you had her buy all those items. Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and say somebody else asked Miss Collier to buy those items, and she did not know that she was buying items to set her own damn self on fire. Lord have mercy. This is diabolical. This is diabolical. Were you in the car with your mother, Amanda, as the driver or the passenger? Did the mother leave her phone in the car and you went in and hacked her account and sent that money to yourself? Is that what we're saying? Or that's what Angela's saying. You were in the car. And possibly Debbie left her phone in the car. And somehow you had her personal information. You went in there. It's something. Because right now we don't have a verification of which device sent the money. But what's interesting is that the money was sent while the woman is sitting in her car. So one could only say, why would the mother be sending the daughter that much money? For what reason? Did Debbie Collier send the daughter that money from her phone while she sat in the car for 10 minutes? Or did the mother already have somebody else in her car with her? Because you have to remember one thing about this story. The perpetrator has to be able to get out of the force in the rain. Or was it raining when she got murdered? So we don't even know if she got killed on the 10th or she got killed on the 11th. The motive for going up to the highway of North Georgia. What was the reasoning? Who was she going to see? Why did she stop at that place? Why do we also have the daughter verifying supplies at the Family Dollar? See, you've been talking too much because you're a fool. You've been telling on your damn self and you don't even know it. You're implicating a man from an incident that happened back in April, lying about his background, which I don't know why you're mentioning that. I don't even know why the aunt was mentioning it. Then you're telling your pawpaw stepdaddy about a purse left behind and debit card, this and that. Are you telling this because you were the one with your mother? That's why you know what she had and didn't have. And you know that you possibly went in that purse and you stole some other goodies out of there. Ooh, Queen's good. Is that what you're saying? I don't think I'm really saying it. I think you sent a birdie to the Queen's ear, and I'm just repeating what you've already done. How about that? You did this. You orchestrated this murder for money. Broke, ain't got a pot to piss in and said, I'll kill my mama. Is that what we're saying? Because it doesn't make any sense. Scenario number 2. If you weren't in that car and had somebody follow you, let me throw that in there, because you had to be able to get out of there because you left behind the van. So you had to get out of there. That means you had somebody follow you up there on the highway and lie in wait while you orchestrate this Family Dollar BS. And somehow you got your mom to go park over there in the middle of nowhere. Why? What did you say to her? If we believe you're the one that did this. How did you get your mom to go over there to the forest and park? But see, we don't really know what happened because that's a long window from the time she leaves the dollar store to the time she was found. For all we know, you all went somewhere else. Lollygagged around, but you had a sidekick with you. And when your mother was least expecting it, she probably took a blow to the head. And that's when the co-conspirator came in, helped you finish the dirty business of taking mommy out there on that highway, dragging her down. And you bought those items deliberately, had her buy those items because you want to set her ablaze. So we got to figure out, was it raining the day she went into Family Dollar, which is the 10th? Because we don't know the time of death. We don't know how long the van was there. Very pertinent questions that were asked by reporters during that press conference. But the one thing the press reporters didn't ask, was there anything else missing out of her purse? You didn't ask if her jewelry was missing. Rings, earrings, anklets, bracelets, watches. Did she wear jewelry? What's your jewelry wear? You all forgot to ask that. Come on now. And when you heard that the purse was in custody, you didn't even ask what was in the damn purse. Come on. You all are slacking down there in the GA. You don't want old country bunking like the Queen to ask those type of questions. I'm not a reporter. I'm just an old YouTuber. Shut your mouth. But the Queen thinks. Because when something's on my mind, I chop it up from the start to finish till I make it make sense. Scenario number 2. Stay woke, everybody. You told your mom somebody was after you. You needed $2,385. Your mom sent it. But perhaps it was a tag team. And then the co-conspirator has your mother, but your mother thinks somebody has you as well. And you're telling the mom, hey, I got to have this money. They're going to do something to me, blah, blah, blah. And the mom is like, well, hey, somebody's going to do something to me. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out here because there's something wicked with this Venmo stuff. But nobody was in the car with her, I don't guess, because she'd been stupid to get out the car, go buy the stuff if her life was at risk, and then get back in the car with the perpetrator. So I don't think the perpetrator was in her car that she didn't know. Let me say that. But as I said, could it be the daughter acted like she was in danger and needed the $23.85? But that's the weird part about that with the message. They're not going to let me go. But now that they verified that the mother was in the car, I don't think that they were in the car with her, because she would be a fool to return to the car with those items. So we have to go back, rehash another scenario. That possibly you were in the car with your mother. Your mother left her phone in the car. She went in about those items because you told her to buy those items. Then she gets back in the car. Maybe she heard a notification on her phone, realized something went off. Now she sees missing money on her phone. You two are arguing back and forth. Either you were in the car and you all were arguing about the money, or you were somewhere else on the phone arguing. She got mad, turned her phone off if you weren't in the car, and then the crime ensued thereafter some type of way in less than 24 hours. Make it make sense. I do believe you had help, because there's no other way that this story is going to unravel properly without a co-conspirator, because you had to be able to get out the force. When did you set up the crime? Because I believe you're behind this. So when did you set it up? Before you came to Georgia, while traveling to Georgia, when you touched down, are you the reason that the neighbors heard somebody sparring and hooping and hollering the night before the woman went missing? Yeah, she's in that car. You bet your bottom dollar. Because you got to make sense to how the woman got up on that road to travel. Because you just don't go travel, get missing, and before you go missing, you're sending stuff to people. It just don't make no sense unless somebody possibly was already there. I got a feeling you were there in that car. If not, you trailed her, you and somebody else. You had help. I believe your boyfriend helped, because he's a dodo bird for dealing with you, knowing You like to steal money, and somehow you've got him PUSSY whipped. He doesn't know what to do with himself. It's not about smoking. It's about the version the person gave. You can use a lighter for anything. Light incense. See, we don't know where they were going. That's the whole point of the story. You don't know where she was going. But she bought them. That's the point. And if she bought them for somebody else, it doesn't matter what she bought. So you all aren't listening. Somebody told her to buy those items. The items were not for Debbie Collier. I think by now you should know that. Those items were to set her on fire. This is planned. Why do you think they said what they said? This is deliberate. It's not random. Because they went to the scene of the crime. They saw the victim's body. They saw what she looked like, how she died, which they're not revealing. And they knew not to tell it because you don't know what all they've seen on the video surveillance. Y'all not listening. You're not listening. You see, when people spin a web, they don't think. Such as, let me give you a for instance. They're not going to let me go. They who? Whom are they? You see, the daughter is speaking of herself and the co-conspirator. Are y'all not listening? You know damn well Debbie Collier didn't write that. Come on now. If I didn't know any better, hell, I would start to question, hell, if that was even her in the damn store. Of course, it looked like her with the wild blonde hair, but there's just something off. The surveillance has come back, so somebody's verifying that's her in that store, that's her walking out that store, that's her sitting in that car for 10 minutes, and that's her pulling out of there. But what it ain't saying is, was there somebody else in the damn vehicle with her? Because the killer has to be able to get that car over to the forest and get out of there. That's why you know it's deliberate. It ain't suicide. It wasn't an accident because the killer has to get out the forest. The killer had to take her down there to the ravine. Stay woke. So we got to ask, what was the time of day when they murdered her? Because was it raining or not raining? Did they do it right before they found her body? They did it after the 3:19. What do we say? Because evidence is going to be left behind if indeed you took her down to the ravine while it was raining. You left your blueprint, your footprints. So that means if you did it while it was raining, you tracked mud back into the car that you were driving. Stay woke. You brought back debris on your shoes. So that means you'd have to clean your shoes or throw away your shoes and or clean the floorboards of the car. Bingo card. See, those are the things people don't think about. Some of you probably didn't think about that. Yes, rain is bad for forensic gathering, but it's also great for tire tracks. Footprints. Did Debbie Collier's daughter Amanda set her up? Is she the one that sent the cryptic message in the Venmo? Was she in the car with her mother at the time of going up highway, northbound, and going to the dollar store and leaving the dollar store? Was there an argument on the phone with the daughter in the car or somewhere else? Is that why the mother was sitting in her car? Because she was disputing the Venmo account. Bingo card. Everybody listening? What the hell's going on here? The hell is $2,000 being sent to you for what? Stay woke. Was the daughter in the car or somewhere else? Why was the mother sitting there for 10 minutes? How many people are involved in this crime and the cover-up of the murder of Debbie Collier? Did the mother even see signs that something was amiss September 10th? Did she have a discerning spirit tell her today's not going to be a good day? Did she ever get a premonition of September 10th? What was going on the night before? The neighbors were saying they heard arguing. Who was arguing? Inside or outside? Daughter and mother? Mother and stepfather? Stepfather and daughter? All four of them with the boyfriend? What are we talking about here? Did somebody ask the mother for money the night before? She said no. She put the plan in motion. Okay, I know how I'll get her. I'll get her along. We'll go somewhere. Tell us, hey, mom, let's just take a day drive up to northern Georgia. It's pretty. Going to be pretty tomorrow. Let's get out. I'm sorry. I apologize for what I said to you. Let's take a day drive. Everybody better stay woke. The devil is busy. How did this lady come to be up on that highway? What was the ruse to go up on the highway? The mother's idea or somebody else's? How does the father feel about the death of his wife? I'm curious about him too. Well, don't leave him out either now. Is this a hit of Debbie Collier? Somebody set this up and used somebody else. Somebody lied in wait, followed her, grabbed her, put her in their car, or jumped in her van. But there's more than one person involved. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. This is not a one man or one woman show. This is definitely deliberate. Definitely deliberate. Definitely planned. I do not know what day this was planned, but it was planned nonetheless. The motive is naturally robbery. Probably disgusted with the woman, mother. Don't want to deal with her no more. Tired of her. Greed. All the things that puts a ball in motion to kill a human being. May not be a reason you'd kill somebody, but it's a reason for somebody else to do it. Now, one could say the daughter didn't do it. Just so happened she came to Georgia on the 8th. Somebody's bickering outside, inside. On the 9th. And on the 10th, the mother just goes up the highway and gets herself killed. But before dying, she sends her daughter a Venmo of $2,000, $385. Is that how it went? Is the Venmo account happenstance? The daughter is innocent. She's not involved. She just so happened to get money from her mother right before the mother is killed. What do we say? Because it'll be sad and pathetic to know a child will plot the death of their own mother. But it happens every day. It happens every day because people kill people every day. And people kill for various reasons. Greed, to cover up a crime, heat of passion, jealousy, envy, rivalry, all types of reasons. But nothing's worse than a child killing their own parent. No different than a parent killing their own child. It's all the same to me. But there's something gnawing at me. This case is gnawing at me like Eliza Fletcher's case. There's just something off. And it's that Venmo account. That's why I believe the daughter has something to do with it. And the fact that she's been making up stories about a purse, an ID, and a debit card, then running to the aunt, lying about a man being on parole that hit the mother's car back in April, something that has nothing to do with the mother. Because why are you even talking about an accident that happened months ago? It was September. 5 months before. Why are you talking about an accident that happened months before? It makes no logical sense. What relevance of a man hitting your mother's car? What are you trying to say? He came back and found her? That's what you were trying to say. Bingo card. Damn, Angela, you're good. That's why you told your aunt that story, is it not? Oh, let me tell you about that guy, that Hispanic guy that hit mom's car. Yeah, he was on parole and he didn't want mom, pressing charges and filing a report because blah, 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 blah. He'd get in trouble and didn't kind of go like that. Why'd you lie? You had to have a reason to lie. You see, that's why I believe you're behind this, because it's all starting to fit nice and neat. Because I don't care what anybody says. Money popping up on accounts and phones right before a death. You just popped up on the scene. You're telling all kind of wild, whack-ass stories to your auntie, getting her all worked up, and she's telling this stupid stuff to the police. They've searched her house. We know they have. Why? Why would somebody be searching a daughter's house? Come on now. You did this. You did this. I believe you did this. Because something's not adding up. The Venmo account was one thing. But now all these old whack versions of the car accident that took place months before that they can't even verify if who the aunt's talking about is this guy. You're throwing some innocent guy's name out there like you're trying to implicate him, because what you always have to ask yourself, what's the gist of the story? That's anybody. Anytime a person spins a story, you're wondering what's the point of the story, are you not? Because if you're sitting there listening to the story and you don't get the point of it, then you have to ask yourself, why are you telling me the story? Ding. So I'd have asked you, because I'm queen, I would ask you, what's the point of this story, little girl? What the hell does this story have to do with your mama missing? And then you would have to wait for her reply. And I couldn't imagine what version she would give then. Well, you see, what I think is, mom's missing, and maybe this guy, he's worried about going to jail, and he came back and he's followed mom, and he followed her somewhere, and he did something to her. How far-fetched would somebody even think of that? But Queen caught it. Because Queen knows people. And Queen knows that when people throw out random shit, there's a reason. Excuse my language. You need a scapegoat. And why would you need a scapegoat if you haven't done anything? Bingo card. Because you know what happened to your mother. That's why. And bringing up stuff about purses and ID and debit cards. You know what was in the damn purse because you possibly went in the purse and stole stuff out of there. Bingo card. Where are all the cards belonging to Debbie Collier? Is everything intact in the purse that the police have in their possession? What will her phone reveal? See, let me tell you something, little girl. You forgot some stuff. you and that boyfriend, whoever else is involved, you're going to always forget something. Because you're not a serial killer. You're not somebody that's out here plotting deaths to get away with it. You're going to mess up the plan. Because it happens to the best of man and woman. They always forget something. And the one thing that most of you heathens can't live without is that damn walkie-talkie. You got to have it. And that's where most people get caught. It's a cell phone. So where's the money? No information to that either. Did she spend all the money? If she did, what did she spend it on? Like I said, this will be a very pathetic case if we find out the mother was murdered by her own child. Be just as pathetic if her husband's behind it. So far, we're not getting much conversation about the husband. Everything's negative pertaining to the daughter being a drug user, allegations of abuse against her lover. Same thing with him. These two like each other, they're tit for tat. They like drama. And usually something always bad happens with drama. I tell people that all the time. You hang around a bunch of punks, keep up stuff, mess, fighting, fussing, somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to get hit to the white meat. Somebody's going to go to jail. Somebody's going to be on probation. Somebody's going to possibly end up in the damn morgue because it happens all the time. And that's exactly what has happened in this case. That lady was walking around fine, minding her damn business in Georgia until, voila, you show up, now she's dead. Now, some could say once again, oh, it's just happenstance. She just so happened to show up 2 days before the mother goes missing, and it's just a coincidence. But what have you heard from detectives? There are no coincidences in true crime. I've heard it before myself. There are no coincidences in true crime. So let's chop it up. What are the odds of a person going to see their parent and their parent goes missing 2 days later? Ting. While the parent is en route to getting missing, they send the same child almost $3,000. I'll wait. That same child has been spinning different webs and versions pertaining to a purse, ID, debit card. Also mentions the dollar store and supplies. Now, what are the odds? Use deduction. Only in the state, 2 days. Arguing the night before the woman goes missing. The woman orders supplies, put them in a bag, on surveillance. Those items are discarded with the victim the next day when she's found. Money was sent to her daughter while she's sitting in the car coming out of the dollar store. And the daughter just so happens to mention the dollar store, and the mother went to the dollar store. Come on now. You can't be this blind. Are you that cold and calculating you'd kill your own mother for $2,000 and some change? $2,000 is chump change. $23.85 is somebody's mortgage payment. Shut up, Queen. Somebody only lives off of $23.85 a month. How about that? You're willing to kill your mother for $23.85. Will we find out that the mother has things missing from her house bingo card? Oh, y'all forgot about that, didn't you? Stay woke. Where is she staying exactly? Down there in Georgia. You all didn't think about that? Allegedly, you're saying something about the husband having properties. But do you really know the arrangement between the parents, Amanda, and the boyfriend? And I also find it strange that the boyfriend's in tow when they have this tumultuous past of violence and theft. Stay woke, everybody. Could it be also that he's a user? Because why would I continue to be with somebody that is using narcotics and I'm not a user? Can't be that much love in the world for me to chase in behind a drunk or a crackhead. There's no way. Ain't saying it ain't happening. Ain't happened. But it ain't happening with the queen. Did the boyfriend help Amanda kill her own mother? What does the boyfriend know? What is his part in this story? The fact that they say they fear for their safety. Oh, now, come on. You fear for your safety for what? You haven't done anything. My parent gets murdered. Why would I fear for my safety? I'd only fear for my safety if my parent had done something felonious and this was an act of revenge. And I'm thinking they're going to come after other family members. Everybody stay woke now. We've got the front door barricaded and the back door barricaded. Are y'all hearing this? So I'm going to ask this stupid kid of hers, well, who the hell's trying to get to you and your boyfriend? Because maybe that's a part of the story we've missed. Or maybe I missed it. I'm not really sure. Honey, why do you have your doors barricaded? Because of what? I missed that part. Well, right. Lightweight fighter, you can't defend yourself? You don't have a weapon? Or are you a felon and can't possess a weapon? I don't know. Why are you too fearful for your safety? Because the only way you would fear for your safety if your mother was involved in illegal activity. She owed somebody money, a kingpin, a drug dealer. What? What are we saying here? Why would you fear for your safety? You see, let me tell you something, Amanda. The one thing Queen does is she listens. Obviously, you do not. Everything that's been written in the articles that I just repeated have your name stamped on every article. You're in every article I just read. That should tell any observer what the hell's going on in this story. Each story paints a picture that's negative pertaining to you. You're spinning lies, you're spinning stories. Your drug use and past comes up. Abuse, physical violence, false reporting of stories and versions about your boyfriend, Venmo account, versions about buying supplies at a Family Dollar store. When what the hell does that have to do with anything? And I have to tell myself, whenever a person is bringing up stuff that's irrelevant, it's because they have something to hide. And it's what people do when they go in defense mode. I experienced that today with somebody. Mentioning stuff that has nothing to do with the issue at hand. Because you're deflecting. That's the word. You've got some form of guilt. So you start bringing up other stuff to try to hide the part that you've played or others have played, and you don't want to be looked at in a bad light. And that's what you have been doing since the disappearance and the murder of your mother. You've been deflecting. You've been talking about everything else besides what the hell you were doing on September 10th. So we're going to go there. Where were you September 10th? All day. Did you get in the car with your mother and take that trip up to northern Georgia? Did you also have somebody follow you up there? Or did you and somebody follow the mother up there? Did you pay somebody to follow your mother up there? Which is it? Because it's going to be 1, 2, or 3. You went up there with your mother, had somebody trail you, or 2 of you went up there with the mother. 2, you trailed your mother up there with somebody else, or 3, you paid somebody to follow your mother and kill your mother. Which is it? Or is this an issue of you're in cahoots with the stepdaddy? I don't know. We don't leave him out either. Not to be, disrespectful in any way. But as Miss Grace says, Nancy Grace, you have to look at the people closest to the victim. That's just inevitable. It is what it is. Nobody wants to be falsely accused of a homicide. But if the woman hasn't been involved in any affairs, entanglements, she hasn't stolen anything, she hasn't defrauded anybody, why is she dead? And it's not to say that she can't be killed by a random human being. Well, we know that she can. But the law says that ain't what they're saying. So now let's go to that question. What has the law gathered from the moment they found Debbie Collier deceased? To say she was, 1, not murdered by an outsider or random. 2, she didn't kill herself. All those items were purchased deliberately in my book as to set Debbie Collier afire. Now, I do not know how much of the body was burned, but I do believe that is my theory thus far, that those items were gathered deliberately, unbeknownst to Debbie Collier. Kind of like digging a grave, not knowing you're going to be the one lying in it. If you get my drift. Eventually, law officials will bring us all the pings from the phones, devices, who was where, who's been seen on camera in a place they weren't supposed to be, who lied about being somewhere where they weren't supposed to be, devices pinging. All that will put everybody in their place, and we will finally know who was where and who was with whom. Because as I told you, the most important tool that most of us utilize is the cell phone, and many people can't be without it. And that is how many people have been caught in a crime. It's because they were foolish not to purchase another phone, and they took their main line with them. And it showed where they were. So, Amanda, is your phone going to ping out of North Georgia, September 10th through the 11th? Will your boyfriend's phone ping September 10th through the 11th? Did you kill your mother? Did you pay somebody to kill your mother? Or is this happenstance? You just happen to travel to Georgia, move here for whatever reason, and your mother went missing and got killed. It is sad that we would even think this is murder of a child murdering her parent for whatever reason, be it she's addicted to narcotics or not, drugs, doesn't really matter. It's sad. Because in the end, it's still death. Death is final. There's no coming back. So the motive, in the end, never matters. We want to know because that's just a part of being human. But it's not fair to the dead person. Because they don't want to be dead naturally. And I'm sure she fought, allegedly holding on to a tree. Perhaps she was trying to pull herself up before death. Put up a fight. I don't know. This is bad. This is real bad. The link is in the chat. 78 viewing. Thank you so much for patronizing. Once again, if you'd like to donate to this great network, $Big Angie, 129 Cash App. Feel free to hit the link to give your opinion. You don't have to sit and chat in the chat. Hit the live stream. Give us your opinion. What you think. Who's the killer? How did it happen? Why did it happen? Or is all this happenstance, this information pertaining to the daughter? She's an innocent bystander. She just happened to be on the scene in the general area when the mother went missing and later found dead. How do you know she bought a burner phone? It's very sad to me. Nobody should even be thinking about anything like this. Killing their own parent. And there are a lot of people who have horrible parents. Horrible parents. Oh, you were kidding. I see. Let's see what Nancy Grace has to say. Hold on a minute. If I can get her pulled up here. Hold on one second. I'm going to bring you some commentary from old Nancy Grace. She believes it's cockamamie, this version, that a serial killer killed Debbie Collier. Thank you for joining me, everybody. They play so many commercials. Everybody's got to eat. Thank you all so much for your time. 75 viewing. Amen.
Welcome back to Fox and Friends. Some chilling details in the death of missing Georgia mom Debbie Collier as new 911 calls revealed Debbie was in an accident with a mysterious ex-con truck driver a month before her disappearance.
From my niece, she said that she was in an accident about a month ago, and the driver was trying to convince my sister not to tell the cops that he was driving because he was out on parole, and there was, a stipulation to his parole that he couldn't drive.
Fox Nation host Nancy Grace has been following this disturbing case, and she joins us now. So, Nancy, this is a very interesting development. Does it raise red flags for you that this, she had an accident with somebody who was on parole?
Yes, it does. If, in fact, that is correct. Now, police have confirmed that she did have a fender bender prior to her being found dead, but they also state they don't know if that's what the daughter was talking about. Now, you're hearing a woman that claims to be the sister of Debbie Collier, Diane Shirley. She says she got this information from Debbie Collier's daughter, Amanda. Now, I find it interesting that cops don't confirm that fender bender was with an ex-con. And let me point out, the stipulations on parole usually do not include, unless you're DUI,
right?
If it's a con,
exactly.
That's a felony, habitual violator DUI. Very rarely do you have the stipulation you're not supposed to drive. The parole board wants you to drive to work or walk to work.
Yes.
So I find that a very odd stipulation. And why a month later does an ex-con track her down?
Yes.
Sounds more like very far-fetched, let me just say. Also, on every police report, cops get the name of both parties. So we would have that in police files if that scenario were, in fact, connected to this case.
Well, I always trust your instincts, Nancy, and they seem to be bearing out with what law enforcement has said. They revealed yesterday that Debbie's murder was, quote, personal and targeted and not likely the act of a random serial killer.
Absolutely. When I read the headlines that there was a serial killer involved, I don't know where that cockamamie idea came from. This is targeted to Deborah Collier. And the first place cops are going to look is those closest to her. Now, I was wondering why a guy that works at a bank would be working on a Saturday morning. You ever gone to a bank that's open on a Saturday morning? No. I haven't. But he's with Synovus and the Optimist were using that parking lot for traffic for the Georgia game. So that's why he was there, and that's been confirmed. He was there from after 9 o'clock to 4 p.m. That's a big deal because you always look at the husband or the lover first. He was there at the time Debbie goes missing. Now, we're looking at who's left standing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they look at the family first. So is that you think they're on the right
path here. You think that looking at the family, and what do you make of the fact that it's your sister calling in, trying to get them off the track of the husband and the lover?
Well, I think the sister's just trying to help. I don't know that she's necessarily trying to lead cops down the garden path. It's SOP. You always look at the family, the lover, the boyfriend, the ex first. That doesn't mean that they did it.
Yeah.
But I also find it very interesting. You know, the daughter, Amanda Beersley, moved home 2 days before. 48 hours after she moves home, her mother is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that connected? I don't know. But there's so many odd circumstances surrounding this. But right now, cops are also saying they know the Venmo was sent to the daughter, but they don't know where the money is, nearly $3,000, and they don't know if it was sent from Debbie Collier's phone. I feel that this Venmo for nearly $3,000 sent just before she goes missing, in the minutes before she goes missing, may be the key to solving this case.
Yeah. I've never Venmo'd anybody $3,000. It's a lot of money.
You can do it from other phones if you have the account login, like logging into your email from a different computer.
Exactly.
So it doesn't have to come from her phone.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
Exactly.
Well, Debbie Collier deserves justice. I love that you always stay on these cases, Nancy. And again, if you want to see more from her crime stories with Nancy Grace on FoxNation.com, it's one of my favorite shows. Make sure you watch. Thank you, Nancy. Always great having you on.
Great commentary. Nancy Grace loves to bring the bang as usual. Very good information. Chopped up eloquently from a common sense standpoint. So let's chop that up. Everything's an app nowadays. You can log into any device using your email through Google if that is the way you if you deal with Google. So, if you use Google for an email, doesn't matter what device you're using, iPad, computer, laptop, several phones, everything's going to stay the same. Everything's going to come up the same. Facebook, it's all the same. TikTok, IG, YouTube, it's all the same. Nothing's going to change unless you change it. Venmo, I'm assuming, is the same as Cash App. You can have those apps on any type of device. All you got to do is log in. Stay woke, everybody. Could it be that's what was going on? While the mother was sitting in the car for 10 minutes, she saw some hanky-panky on her notifications. Because when you use Cash App, it will show you who sent you money, I guess vice versa. You accept, decline, which is whatever. You get a notification on your cell phone. You spend money in a store or business. It will show you the purchase in the place where you spent it. If it was declined in a store, that will come through your messaging system. Everybody follow me? Good. As you hear in this commentary, we don't know yet where the Venmo came from, which device, whose device it belonged to. Could it be hacked? She got a hold, or someone got a hold, let's say, of Debbie's account information and sent money to the daughter. Now, who would be sending the daughter money if indeed it wasn't Debbie Collier? I'll wait. Can't be too many people. Because how many people who have access to the mother's personal business dealing with her phone directly would be her husband. It has also been said in other commentary that they shared a Venmo account. So did the husband send the daughter the money, or did Debbie send the money, or the daughter, or somebody close to her, family member, son, breached the account and sent it to the daughter? And why? And let's go there with the father and the mother sharing the account. As I just told you, you will get a notification via your phone that money has been sent from the account and also accepted from an outside source. So you're going to get a notification. Could it be the father calling the wife? Bingo card. Forgot all about that. Hey, what's this $3,000 damn near coming out the account for what, to whom, why? Ooh, Queen, you're getting nasty with it now. Everybody stay woke. If she shared the account with her husband, she didn't verify she was going to send that kind of money to her daughter. Don't you think the husband will be notifying her, because he's going to get a ping on his phone as well to show that that kind of money just went out of the account? Could it be that's who she was talking to as well for the 10 minutes, trying to explain why that kind of money was sent to the daughter? And you all have been spreading rumors about him owning property, this and that. She's living on one of his properties. Well, let's think about that for a second. If I'm going to give you somewhere to live, I would expect you to pay me my money for the apartment. Are y'all listening carefully? Because I think somebody ain't listening. So let's just say I took money from the two, her and the boyfriend, to move into the apartment. Day before, the day she got here, whichsoever. Why the hell am I going to now give you $3,000 of my damn money and you are now my tenant? Come on, everybody. Put your thinking caps on. So that's one possibility that we didn't focus on either. That the two share an account, the mother and the stepfather. Don't you think he'd be upset if he didn't know the mother was giving the daughter money? So let's just say the mother did give her the money under a rules of guise. The father would probably feel some type of way. What are you doing giving that kind of money? She just moved here. We're already helping her out, giving her a place to live. Because think about that. He's not gaining anything if, one, he let you stay there rent-free for 1 month, 2 months, however, or he took money from you, partial payment, all of the payment. Would it make sense for him to then give up $3,000? I'll wait. Y'all weren't expecting that. I wasn't expecting that either, but the more I sat here and listened to Nancy Grace, it came to me. That might be why she was sitting in her car for 10 minutes. Debbie Collier was refuting the damn near $3,000 sent to the Venmo bingo card. She's sitting on the phone, possibly talking to the husband, talking to the daughter, messaging the Venmo account support line. Ooh, you didn't think about that either, did you? Hey, I'm refuting that money. I want it back. My account has been breached. Boy, y'all wasn't expecting that. Could it be just what I said? The daughter stole the money, and the mother and stepfather were bickering back and forth about the money for the 10 minutes that she sat in the car. Or she sent the money to the daughter, and the father had something to say about the money. Which is it? Well, the daughter found a way to breach the account and take the mother's money. That might be why she sat in the car for 10 minutes, going back and forth with whomever about a Venmo account. Not actually sending money, because it says the money went in at 317. Or received, rather, by the daughter. That's been verified. But who's to say what the mother was doing inside of her vehicle while this transaction was going on? Yes, he's lucky to be alive if indeed he has nothing to do with this crime. You're right, because he'd be next. Who's to say? Because there's a brother also in line of anything that the mother had of value, real estate, living will, life insurance policies. Many of you have mentioned that in the chat. Does she have a life insurance policy on herself by somebody else? I don't know. I don't know. And how far down the hole does this drama go, down the rabbit hole? How many people are actually involved in the murder of Debbie Collier? Who planned the murder of Debbie Collier? When did it get put on the chopping block? Because I find it interesting, as Nancy Grace has said in this commentary, that you would show up on the 8th and your mom's missing by the 10th, found dead on the 11th. A 3-day window that you come all the way from the Eastern Seaboard to allegedly what? Better your life, or you came here orchestrating the murder of your mother. How about that? That this was all a deliberate plan to get rid of a 59-year-old woman. I'll go down there, move down there, knock off my mom, steal from her, and then ploop, ploop, hit the highway and get somewhere else. But baby, let me tell you, $2,300 ain't no money. Not today, with gas $3 and some change. And also let me tell you all that we do have banks open here in the South. The banks are open on Saturdays here in the South. Some banks. They're only open from about 9 to 12, something like that, or 1, depending on the bank. For those who do not know that. I don't know what they had. All I know is I brought commentary saying that they shared the account, the father and the mother. So if they share the account, both parties will get notifications of money going out, money coming in, money's received. And who's to say that she was not sitting in her car on that fateful day disputing the money? Because now you have to ask yourselves this question. What did she use to buy the items with in the Family Dollar store? Bingo card. None of you've asked that. Did she use cash, credit card, checkbook? How much were all the items? Stay woke, everybody. How much were all the items at the dollar store? What form of payment did Ms. Collier use to purchase the tarp, the lighter, the poncho, paper towels? What form of payment was used? Let's go here. Let's go farther down the rabbit hole. We're going to chop up everything imaginable before I check out of here pertaining to Debbie Collier and the Venmo account and the motive and the suspect. Could it be she put that damn Venmo card up in that damn machine and it said decline? Bingo card. Bet y'all wasn't waiting on that one, did you? I told you. I'm going to leave a stone unturned. Could it be she put the card in and it was declined? That's why she went back and sat in her car for 10 minutes trying to figure out why there was no money on the damn card. Lord, have mercy, Queen. How'd you miss that? Mercy me. Think about it. I just left the store. I've driven an hour and a half out of my way, and I'm sitting in my car for 10 minutes doing what exactly? Lost? Need directions? Stay woke, everybody. Who was she talking to? Because while she's sitting in the car, mile marker 3:17 p.m., money's received by the daughter. I don't know. So maybe it wasn't that she spent the money before, because that means that she was in the store, the money would have had to have been off the card before she left the store. Interesting. Very interesting. Or maybe when she got in the car, she was gathering things, checking things. I don't know. I don't know why she was sitting there for 10 minutes, but I'm trying to wrap my brain around all the scenarios that could have transpired on that day pertaining to the accounts and Venmo accounts. But as I said, 3/17 is when money was received. So she'd already been in the car a little while. But maybe that's it too. She used the same card, but was in her phone doing something, checking something, and then saw money sent from her card. I don't know. But all that's up for interpretation. Going in the store, buying those items, going back to her car, sitting in her car. What was she doing in her car? And we don't even know how much money was even in the account on the card. Who's to say there was more than the $23.85? I don't know. It's a very weird number, as if a person knew that's how much was on the card. Let's go there too. $23.85 is an odd number. That's a number that you knew was on the card. How would you know that? Had the mother told her personal business? Has somebody gotten access to her bank account records, statements, and saw what she had in the Venmo account, if it was connected also to her bank account? It is saying this is not random, that this was deliberate. So I'm assuming somebody that knew her. If a hitchhiker did it, he'd have to hitchhike back out of there. Then you have to ask yourselves, where did she pick him up? I think she knew better than to pick up a hitchhiker, because everybody knows how dangerous it is in northern Georgia as far as carjackings. You know not to give anybody a ride. Pick up anybody, a stranger. Because the metro Atlanta is known for carjackings. So you would be very careful in that demographic. I'm just going to go on a whim of what they said. Police. Deliberate and personal. And that just leads me to believe they know more than what we know. They know something. And we don't know who's called. We don't know what tips have come in. We don't know what was verified day 1, day 2. See, we don't know all those things. We don't know what's all been seen on surveillance cameras with the victim. Who she met, didn't meet. Who had access to her car. That's another thing. See, we don't know all of that. But something came to light when they saw the body in the ravine. So we know they know how the victim got there, possibly came to be in that predicament, to say that it was deliberate. We don't think it's a serial killer. We don't think it's random. Then that doesn't leave anything but, as you say, personal. Personal by what? Personal by a stranger, or personal by somebody she knows? Which is it? Because when they say random, that leads a person to think it's random means a stranger. That's how I take it. Very interesting information. I'm not going to hold you all much longer, but this is the information I've had to bring to you, 3 sources. And it's a very baffling story, because you hear the officials tell you it's complex. We're talking about a 6-week window for an autopsy. So we asked that question as well. How was she murdered? How was she murdered? Was she strangled? Was she beaten, bludgeoned to death, or shot? Was she set on fire before or after death? Why that location? Why didn't they take her car? If they took her there, how did they take her there? By her van or by another vehicle? Common sense would tell you if they carjacked her, as I said, they wouldn't have left it there because they have to be able to get out of there. They have to take it somewhere where they can get to safety and get to where they need to be. Out in the middle of a highway, it's not a good place to drop off a car if I don't have a way out of there. So they had to have this pre-planned, I think, which leads me to believe there's more than one person involved because the person had to be able, to get out of the force. And I don't think I want to be coming out of the force after I've hurt somebody. God forbid if I bludgeon them, I could possibly have blood on my clothes. Stay woke. You have to think about all those things when chopping up a crime. You're in the middle of nowhere. If you bludgeon a person, you're going to be bloody. You're not getting ready to walk around with bloody clothes on a damn highway. As to draw attention to yourself. Well, they asking you help because they now have footage of her. You got to remember, nobody knew where she went because it's going to be a while before we get information from the devices. So once somebody said, yes, I saw that lady in this store, they now know to go ask anybody in the general area to look at your surveillance cameras because you now have a pinpoint of where the victim was at some point during that day. Nobody knew where she went. Nobody would know except for anybody that went with her. And we don't know who was with her. So we chopped that up in this live. Where was Debbie Collier going? Why did she go in that store and buy those items? Why do we later hear the daughter mentioning her buying cleaning items at the dollar store and supposed to bring them back? One, a tarp to me is not a cleaning item. A lighter, it's not a cleaning item. A tote, it's not a cleaning item. And a poncho, it's not a cleaning item. As I told you, it sounds like things you're going to use to set the person afire. But if indeed it was raining when you set the fire, that's why she didn't go up and smoke. Stay woke now. The body was found on a rainy day, which was a Sunday. So what you have to ask yourselves is, at what point was she murdered? September 10th or September the 11th? If September 10th was sunny, stay woke now. You could set the fire. If she was killed on the rainy day, you couldn't set the fire. And only people that set fires to bodies are people who are close to the victim. As to hide DNA. If you touch the paper towels, the tarp, the tote, the lighter, you're going to burn all that up. Try to anyway. Because you touched the items. Because that's one thing I always asked when I heard the items were discarded with the victim. Why would you discard those items with the victim? What's the point? Why not leave them in the car? Because possibly they were purchased deliberately to set Debbie Collier on fire. Because this was pre-planned and deliberate, as the officials have said. Maybe that is what they noticed when they found the victim in the ravine. Somebody used these items deliberately to set this woman on fire. So let's go there. Where is the lighter? If these items were burned or partially burned, where is the lighter? Did they wear gloves? Stay woke, everybody. You have to handle the lighter to set the woman and the items on fire. So, did you also wear gloves? Did they leave the lighter behind with the victim? Because they said the victim was found with the items purchased from the dollar store. So they left the lighter. If the lighter was left, there's DNA on the lighter. That's why the items were bought. Who did she go up the highway with? What was the motive for going up the highway? Who was in the car? Did she have a driver on her way northbound? Did she drive her own car? Was she a passenger? Vice versa. Was she the driver and somebody else was the passenger? When she put up to the Family Dollar, who was inside of the car? Was her daughter or boyfriend inside of the car? Any other person? Was there a hit put out on Debbie Collier? Was she followed from Athens, Georgia to North Georgia? Was she carjacked? We're going to throw it on out there. After she left the Family Dollar, somebody took and had their way with her, attempt to kill her by fire before or after death, hiked up out of the ravine, and hitchhiked out of the forest. Was the daughter playing funny games on the phone with the Venmo account? Possibly pretending that somebody wanted to hurt her. She needed money. Hey, mom, please send me this money. Blah, blah, blah. Somebody's after me. I owe somebody. They've threatened me. Woo, woo, woo. And then what? The mother sent the money. And then in turn, what? Follow? Very strange. Or was the daughter with the mother? The mother left the phone in the car. And she compromised the mother's account while the mother was in the store. As somebody said, was the daughter hiding in the back of the van and surprised her mother? I don't know. But I find it interesting she mentioned cleaning supplies out of the blue, and the mother just so happened to go to Family Dollar on September 10th. And those items were burned with the mother. What are the odds? The fact that she came down 2 days before the mother went missing is strange to me. Happenstance of this Venmo account that she shared with the husband, Miss Debbie Collier, and near $3,000 was sent to the daughter. For what? Why? Where's the money? Has it been spent? What was it spent on? Did she owe them money for moving here? Did they pay her way to move down here? Did they give her an apartment expected rent money she hadn't paid? Is that why she was arguing, or they were arguing the night before? Neighbors heard them arguing. Who all was arguing, and what was the reasoning? At what point was this planned, if indeed it was done by the daughter? On the 8th, on the 9th, on the 10th, on the 11th. How long was the van parked at the force? Were the keys in the van? The person found belonging to Debbie Collier are in custody. What's on the phone? Who did she last talk to? Are all her personal effects in her purse? Did she wear jewelry? Was any jewelry stolen? Any credit cards stolen? Any accounts been opened up under Debbie Collier's name? So you have to ask all those questions. Or was this a hit? Somebody wanted Debbie Collier out of the way, and they paid somebody to follow her from Athens, Georgia on her journey wherever she was going and killed her. And somehow got her alone, subdued her, put her in their own car or her van. Which is it? Well, if indeed it's first and last month's rent, it would be suspicious to the father. The mother's now dead. He knew how much he was charging for rent, deposit. And if that much came out his account, he's going to already know that the daughter's behind it. Who better to know than the person that's asking for that amount of money? So you're going to kill your mother for that amount of money and then in turn give it right back. Well, the point is, if you're willing to kill somebody for rent money, that means you really don't have any money to pay the rent. And that's another thing. What jobs do they have since coming down here to Tennessee, to Georgia? We're so close together. Because that's another thing I wondered. What was the real reason she came to Georgia, she and the boyfriend. What agreement was set up between Amanda and her mother and the stepfather? Did they actually pay them money to move into a property? Or did they owe them money? Have they paid them partial money or all the money? Is it just happenstance that she got sent money from the mother and the mother went missing shortly after the transaction on the Venmo account? Is it just a coincidence? Detectives say there are no coincidences in true crime. I do believe that. But every blue moon, you will have something that is peculiar, suspect, and it's not the person that you think's involved. Could it be we're assuming the worst of a woman who's just troubled and she had nothing to do with the murder of her mother, she or her boyfriend or the father? Then that leaves an unknown assailant out there walking around free that has killed this woman for no reason. Did she meet somebody online, had a friend, schoolmate, old mate, new friend, old friend, having an affair, and she went to see that person? And she just so happened to go in the dollar store to get some items for herself or somebody else or that person. She met this person at some point during that day or the next day. Something jumped off. They murdered her, took her out there to the forest, assaulted her, set her on fire, came back up. But how did they get out of the forest? See, that's the part of the story that is the most baffling. Whoever killed Debbie Collier had to have a way out of that highway. So whether it was the husband, the daughter, the boyfriend, her son, friend, neighbor, co-worker, entanglement, lover, friend, foe, stranger, how did they get to safety from the forest? Did they kill her on the 10th, which was a Saturday, or they killed her on the 11th, which was Sunday? How did they get the body there? And how did they leave? I believe the phone pings will tell the story. I won't doubt that they already have enough information already. They do not have to inform the public of what they have because they've made it clear we're not going to tell you anything as to not let the killers know we're on to them. So that leads me to believe they do have a general idea of who killed Debbie Collier. The pieces were falling together the day they found her in the ravine with evidence they saw on the victim, how she looked, how they think she possibly was killed. It told the story. What they found in the car, see, we don't know all those things. But see, people leave things behind. People drop things such as their own ID, their own keys, fingernail, remnants from their clothes. See, you don't ever know. You don't know who was seen, as I said, trailing the victim, in the car with the victim, meeting the victim. Because if the cameras have her traveling on the highway northbound, have her in the store, outside the store, common sense should tell you somebody else has also been seen on the cameras. Thank you for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Like, share, subscribe. Drop your comments below. Please check out my community page for breaking news, updates, and polls. If you see something, say something. Be a part of the solution and not the problem. Please mind the children. You all have a prosperous week. Please be safe out there. Ladies, be aware of your surroundings. Gentlemen, too. This is a very diabolical story. And when I get more information, I will surely bring you an update. Prayers to the family of this young lady, because I do believe this was a crime of greed. And it should never have happened. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $Big Angie 129 Cash App. Thank you all so much for your time. God bless all of you. Feel free to leave your commentary pertaining to your thoughts of this case. The information that I've relayed has a source to the information, and this is diabolical what happened to her. And I believe the things that I mentioned in this case with a source is laying out the foundation of who killed Debbie Collier. I do believe possibly that her daughter has something to do with this. I could be wrong, because there's always that chance that it doesn't pan out that way. She may not be involved, but the things she has said that are suspect, throwing out things that have nothing to do with the case, just out of the blue, her popping up out of nowhere before the mother's death, the Venmo account, the mentioning of the Dollar Tree items, the dollar store items is very suspect to me. And that's where I'm leaning right now. Yes, justice for Debbie Collier. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans.